Hello and welcome to Hockey Hypothetical, serious answers to silly questions. Each episode we will be taking preposterous scenarios that we've made up from the world of hockey and trying to produce genuine responses to the what-if questions. My name is Jonathan Fernley, I'm here with Stephen Dowson, and Douse, here's our first Hockey Hypothetical. We've seen recently the introduction of a new mascot to the Philadelphia Flyers, Gritty.
Yes.
Gritty is not like most mascots in terms of the way it looks.
He's not like most girls.
So, what's the most inappropriate mascot that an elite league team or a hockey team could have?
I'd like to answer the question with the question and the answer. Gritty. Although I'm going to be honest with you. Gritty's kind of growing on me.
But Gritty is fun.
Yes,
that's the point.
Yeah, he's just a bit goofy, isn't he? He's like the gobbledygooker. Do you know what I mean? He's just there to be a point of fun and stupidity. So you're looking for like, that's a bad idea for a mascot, rather than like, that's a bad mascot. You're like, that's a bad idea for a mascot.
I could completely imagine where the Flyers staff have sat around and thought, we're Philadelphia, let's do things a little bit differently here.
Yeah.
And they've come up with something that's outrageous, but they've given it a real character. It's not like other mascots of, hey, isn't sport fun? Let's go team. Gritty's there to cause a little bit of chaos. Be a little bit weirder.
He's like Benny the Bull, really, in that respect. Like, Benny the Bull is obviously a Chicago Bull, but actually his mascot character is just to be a bit of a knob, really. Mm. The one that immediately sprung to mind when you talk about elite league mascots that were inappropriate was the whole Stingrays. Because they went from having a bear as their mascot. Polo the bear, because that's what was in the cupboard when they looked for mascot outfits, I assume, to getting a stingray as a mascot. And if you remember...
Stinger.
Well, yeah, but it was weird though, wasn't it? Because like, he had person's legs and arms, and then he just had a stingray plunked on his head.
It was quite a good stingray head.
Yeah, but it was also really inappropriate because hadn't Steve Irwin just been killed that summer or something stupid like that? So all the away fans were basically going, you killed Irwin.
Yeah, but there was also a game between Hull and Sheffield where Polo was out on the ice skating around, fell over, and the head came off.
I remember that.
Yeah, so Polo kind of had to go away after that.
Well, also it didn't make any sense. So I think you've got to be also politically sensitive, you know.
So the most inappropriate mascot then is politically insensitive.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think because obviously you've got like Jordy Monroe. Jordy Nelson? Who's Jordy Nelson?
He's the wide receiver for the Raiders.
Oh, amazing!
Former Packer wide out.
Guess what I've been watching this morning? Yeah, you got Jordy Monroe, haven't you? For
Fife. Yeah.
And he's basically, hello, I'm Scottish. That's his mascot. The mascot is, hello, I'm a Scotsman. Imagine if, like, an English team basically had like, hello, our mascot is an English person wearing Burberry, drinking lager. You know? I think, just be like, hello, we're English, smashing everybody else, being particularly gammon-faced, voting for Brexit. You know, that kind of thing. What team he'd be associated with, I do not know. But
yeah, we're going down a very just stereotyping route here if we're going to
assign
the city to this.
But isn't exactly? But that's what Jordy Monroe is, isn't it? He's just a Scotsman, you know. And Steeler Dan is just a dude. He's just a man, isn't he?
Okay, but does Steeler Dan have to be a cartoon character? Can't Dan be a real life human steel worker? Why do mascots have to be big furry heads? Can we not go back to the days of when mascots were genuine people? In fact, there still are. I think the Minnesota Vikings have an actual Viking. It's a big hairy bloke with a horned hat and a shield and yells a lot.
The Fighting Irish, Notre Dame, they give somebody's tuition. You get your tuition paid for if you are the leprechaun.
Yeah.
As a mascot. So you're saying, like, what if Steeler Dan was just a bloke wearing a hat? Like, the thing is, he would look like every other hockey player, wouldn't he? Like, what would be his distinguishing... Like, the leprechaun dresses up like a leprechaun, you know? The Viking dresses up like a Viking. What would Steeler Dan work up like his work skivvies?
Well, he'll have overalls on, he'll have gloves on. You've got the
You could wear the welding mask. Yeah. That'd be... No, thing is, you put so you have the leather overalls, the welder's overalls, the welder's mask. He just looks like some kind of Nightmare on Elm Street kind of monster.
Portland Timbers MLS team, every time they score a goal, the guy behind the net has a big log and a chainsaw and he cuts off a piece of wood, and that's the celebration of, we scored a goal, let's cut some trees up. Could we not have, behind the open end at the Steelers, an actual piece of steelwork taking place? Yeah.
Please keep your eyes on the furnace at all times. It sometimes does explode.
Yeah, but we've scored a goal. Here's something we made out of steel.
Cool.
An actual human mascot, rather than someone in a costume.
I think that would be. I think it would be weird because the moment that happens it becomes like Santa Claus. You know, the moment there's a face to it, that's always the face, which is why Santa Claus needs the big beard. So he's basically just a pair of human eyes. You know what I mean? The moment there's a dude attached to it, also the moment there's a dude attached to it, it becomes, I don't know why, it becomes a little bit more weirder around kids.
There we go. And there's the point. Mascots are primarily designed to entertain the younger fans.
Yeah, so if you just had a guy who... Actually, do you know the image I've got? I've got that image of The Simpsons when Homer goes to a welding plant and it turns into a big kind of like early 90s gay club with all the steel workers. You know what I mean? And I've got that image of Steeler Dan, and then I've got that image of Steeler Dan posing for photographs, and I'm like, I don't think it would fly. I don't think it would quite work.
So an inappropriate mascot, then, has to be something that's not safe for kids.
Yes. I mean, we are in Leeds, so I'll avoid the obvious comment, but like the Billingham Bombers, I don't know what their mascot is, but I'm going to assume...
Well, the Billingham Stars now. They used to be the Teesside Bombers. And the Billingham Bombers.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so they are the Stars now. Yeah, but I don't know when they were the Bombers if their mascot was like a giant plane. You know what I mean? But and even the Jets, their mascot isn't a giant plane here to send death from above. It doesn't really strike the right tone, does it?
Yeah, you don't want a mascot dressed up as a jet with limited vision bumping into things.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a great image.
No. And a bomber, whilst it sort of has to be a plane, it can't be a bloke in a vest either.
No, exactly. Yeah, that wouldn't fly. That would not go down well. Maybe it's probably one of the reasons why they changed the name, I imagine, in Billingham. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like what we've got now, because also back in the day, the mascots used to be actual animals, didn't they? They used to have like,
Oh yeah, you'd have sort of. Well, I think the Cleveland Browns, still do run out with an actual bulldog.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are other animal-based nicknames that, they'll have a hawk flying around pre-game or an eagle or something.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of going to a live game where there's an actual Nottingham Panther there, stalking the crowd.
What? Just put in a cage on the stage end?
Yeah, that's not a great look. I mean, the worst one, actually, would probably be the Newcastle Vipers. Less scary are the Jesters, although actually, depending on your view on what scary
clowns.
It's clowns,
clowns.
Isn't it?
It's scary clowns.
Isn't it? The most inappropriate mascot would have been a scary clown.
That said, it depends how much you quite like the sound of Vinny the Viper's on the loose, look under your seats.
That would have been... Can you imagine it? First one to grab him gets a free jersey. It's your home team. It's your own team. He's underneath your chairs. That would have been... That would have worked for me. I would have been all over that.
Yeah, but I still think a scary clown is about as scary as you're going to get in terms of most people being weirded by it.
No, I've got a better one. Imagine if the Calgary Hitmen actually had their mascot is the guy on their logo, isn't it? The guy on their logo is basically just a hitman. Mm. It's a guy wearing the old school hockey mask while carrying a hockey stick. Or to put it another way, isn't that what Jason from Friday the 13th wears? Like, imagine him as an actual mascot, a guy wearing the old school hockey mask, bulking around with no emotion, holding a hockey stick. That would be bloody terrifying.
It would, but also, during blackout, you walk into your seat, you turn around the corner about to go up the stairs to get yourself settled in for the player introductions, and there's a scary clown face.
That's true.
But seeing a person in hockey mask at a hocky game, I'm not so sure.
No, the old school hockey mask, and he's carrying the old wooden stick. It's Jason.
True.
Let's
look at this from a different perspective then.
Okay.
What about trying to make a good mascot and just being rubbish? Remember Partick Thistle?
Oh, with the star.
Kingsley, yeah. It was meant to be a ray of sun, but it just looked angry and confused.
Well, because it was drawn by kids, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the idea.
So that's just a mascot that's just rubbish. I mean, but they sort of embraced it. But
you kind of have
if you were trying to do it properly and you ended up with that would be a rubbish mascot.
Yeah, because I think the other thing is like nobody could see the link between that and Patrick Thistle. I think the worst mascots. It's like Polo the Bear. Polo the Bear was a terrible mascot because what have you got to do with the whole Stingrays, Polo? You were literally, and then you were literally all that was in the cupboard when they weren't looking for a mascot head. And I don't want to rag too much on the Cardiff Devils, but the Cardiff Devils mascot looks like a red baby. He doesn't look like a devil.
Yeah, Taz is. When people are listing their favourite Elite League mascots, Taz is not as high up as some of the.
No,
it's not a Clangus or a Scorch.
No, and Clangus makes sense, even though what's that got to do with the Glasgow clan? Scottish. Hello, I'm a Scottish cow.
How many people do you reckon are aware of Steely Dan, the pun behind the Steelers mascot?
Not enough, I would say. Yeah, the fact that it's basically an early 90s reference. I mean, the entire Sheffield Steelers can be classed as an early 90s reference at times, But Steely Dan is where Steeler Dan came from. But now it's just, nobody gets that anymore. It's just, he's Steeler Dan.
He's just a bloke called Dan.
He's just a bloke called Dan who's really into hockey. And he comes every week, Yeah, I think the worst one, in terms of just being a bit rubbish, I think Polo the Bear's up there. I think, you know what, who else is a bit rubbish, and I'd probably get in trouble for saying this? Rory, the Elite League mascot, because I don't get him. I imagine because he's British, it's the British Elite League, therefore, what's the British animal? It's a lion, therefore it's Rory. I just don't get it.
There are too many Rory lions.
Yeah.
Because, Rory, lions go raw. Rory's a name.
It's clever, isn't it?
It would be if lots of other teams hadn't got there first.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think the Elite League needs one.
Yeah, especially when you have all the other mascots coming down for playoffs and things like that. It's not like the Elite League competes.
Pay them for it.
Yeah. Okay, Jonathan, my hypothetical to you. I've always wondered just what GB hockey would have to do to get on the back pages, and I think I can easily kind of see that. If we won like Olympic gold or something like that, I think we'd be on the back pages quite easily. Then it kind of led me to this question. What's going to happen at a hockey game for it to end up on the front page of a national news?
Well, nothing good
is
my initial reaction. Because I'm even just putting it down to a local level, thinking, what's going to get me on the front page of the Evening Post? What's going to get me on the front page of the Star? What's going to get me on the front page of whatever your local paper is? And championship wins maybe get you a banner across the top. They don't get you the front headline.
No.
So is that banner enough? Because in which case the answer is winning a championship.
Yeah.
But the main headline, the main story on the front still belongs to that burglary that took place or something that the council is doing. That's still your staple of local news. Nationally, yeah, it's got to be something Olympic, or unfortunately something tragic.
Yeah.
I can't see a way that the Elite League games this weekend can get onto the front page of the Telegraph or the Sun or the Guardian without something utterly tragic.
Before we get onto the tragic aspect, because I think we all know where that could go quite quickly. McGregor versus the guy I can't pronounce, who the UFC fight over the weekend.
Yeah.
Where at the end of the fight he goes into the crowd and he absolutely goes hammer and tong. On a slow news day, do you think that would make front page news?
It didn't make the front page of the whole Daily Mail when Derek Campbell.
That's true.
Went around instead of led to the dressing room, and then when the referee turned his back, he went round the back past the skate hire and waited for Nikos to check it so he could jump him.
Yes.
That didn't make the front page of the whole Daily Mail.
Yeah.
So if that incident isn't,
yeah,
bearing in mind that led to a 50-game suspension and national media coverage, newspapers carried that story, but they didn't carry it on the front page. They didn't carry it on the back page. It was just a sidebar of the main nationals.
Yeah.
Then I can't see an incident like that. I think it could be different if, rather than it being two players fighting off the ice, a player went into the stands.
Yes.
Now, we've seen before fans end up in the penalty box because you're yelling and